In this episode, I'm going to explain every single quest that happens in the starting zone for the Undead. So let's dive right in and find out what's going on in World of Warcraft. So it's time to head up north to take a look at Tirisfal Glades. As mentioned before, this is the starting area for the Undead, and you begin your new life in an area called Death Knell Graveyard. As you awake from your death, you find a Valkyr hovering above you named Agatha, who warmly welcomes you back to the realm of the living. She then tells you that with the blessing and power of the Dark Lady, also known as Sylvanas Windrunner, you've been freed from death's grip. She then says that you're free to follow whatever path you'd like, and that if you choose to follow Sylvanas, then you'll want to speak to Undertaker Mordo in the graveyard. So you run over to Mordo, and you find out that you've been dead for a pretty long time. Not exactly sure how long, but it's been a while. Now from the looks of it, they're pretty busy raising the dead, and Mordo needs some help. He wants you to bring him some embalming fluid and some stitching twine. With those, he'll be able to stitch up the rest of the bodies that are about to be raised from the dead. He says you can find these items in a place called Shadow Grave. Better yet, he sends someone named Darnell to show you the way. So, you head into Shadow Grave. Darnell doesn't really help much, but you find the items on the table. Then you report back to Mordo. Now he says that these will work perfectly and that you're going to be a great asset to the Forsaken. Then he goes on to mention that the Valkyr raise hundreds of corpses every single day, and not all of them are as lucky as you. Some maintain their free will, but live in constant fear and confusion, while others lose their mind completely and turn to violence. Those ones usually have to be destroyed. Now, this is where you come in to help. Mordo wants you to kill 6 mindless zombies in the surrounding area. So you head out to kill 6 of them. After killing the 6, you head back to Mordo. He says that not even the power of the Valkyr could save those that you put down. But because you helped out, he hands you a battered cloak for your efforts. He then bluntly states that he doesn't need your help anymore, but that others could, mentioning that caretaker Kais could give you another assignment. So you run over to Kais and hear what he has to say. He doesn't care who you were before you were raised from the dead. The only thing that matters to him is that you have a working tongue. He says that not everyone copes with being raised from the dead as well as you did, and that there are 3 specific people who aren't taking it so well. Those 3 are Marshall Redpath, Valdred Moray, and Lillian Voss. Yes, the same Lillian Voss that we'll see in WoW forever. Kai says that you can find these 3 in the graveyard. So first you come upon Marshall Redpath, and he quickly tells you to get away from him. So you kindly remind him that he's part of the Forsaken now, and that he can do as he wishes. He says something regarding how he'll start his own Forsaken, with elbows, whatever that means, and then runs away. Okay, next is Lillian Voss. Now she's freaking out and calls you a monstrosity. Says that every single one of the undead should be destroyed. So you kindly help her realize that she's an undead herself, but then she calls you a liar and says that her father will protect her, and she runs away too. Not to worry though, we'll see her again in the future. Lastly, you meet Valdred Moray. You tell him that he died, and then he starts to remember how. He recalls a tale about how an orc cut his hands off. Then he realizes that the hands that he has now aren't even his hands. After a while, you calm him down, and he finally accepts what he is. He asks what he should be doing, and you direct him to Mordo. When you go back to Kais, he says that Valdred will be a good asset to the Forsaken. But as for Lillian and Marshall, there's not really much you can do. You can't force anyone to join. Darnell shows up again, and Kais says that the 2 of you are done here. He wants you to speak to Deathguard Saltaine in Death Knell, located in Tirisfal Glades. So, you head out with Darnell and meet up with Saltaine. Once you meet him, you find out that the Forsaken have been collecting bodies from all over the place. They've been shipping bodies here from Silverpine, Hillsbrad, anywhere where they can get them. He also mentions that members of the Scarlet Crusade have been pushed out of this area, and the ones that died fighting, their bodies are littered near the houses in the north and east. He wants you to take Darnell into that area and have him help you collect 6 Scarlet corpses and bring them back, so they can be turned into what you are today. You also enter the building next to you and speak to Shadow Priest Sarvis. He says that if you're going to be of any help, then you need to learn how to fight. Now, part of the Scourge is occupying the north and east sections of Deathnell. He wants you to kill 8 of them and then return and report. So, you head out, you kill the 8 Scourge minions, and you pick up 6 of the Scarlet Crusade corpses and throw them on top of Darnell's back. Guy knows how to lift. And you head back to report. Saltane says you did well bringing back the bodies, and then gives you a short Duskbat cape because they have a ton of them lying around. And Shadow Priest Sarvis says that you've gotten a lot stronger and won't be hanging around Deathnell much longer. Now he wants you to speak to his novice Elrith. She'll have some more tasks that you can do. Now Elrith says that she saw a young Forsaken woman running towards the old inn, screaming for her life, pleading to be taken back home. Yep. That was Lillian Voss, who we saw earlier. Elrith wants you to take a hand mirror and show Lillian her reflection so that she can know what she is now. Plus, Elrith says that they need as many as they can to join their cause. So you head out to the inn and you find Lillian terrified in the corner. She screams at you and tells you to get away from her, so you show her her reflection in the mirror and try to comfort her by telling her that she's one of us. But she still can't handle the idea and she runs away again. So now you head back to Elrith to report. She thinks that it's a shame that she ran away, but says that if Lillian keeps her free will, then there's hope for the future. Elrith says that she could keep you busy here, but sees that you're more of the fighting type. She wants you to speak to Executor Arin, not far past the barricades, exiting out of Deathnell. So you head out to meet up with Arin, and upon arriving, the first thing that he comments on is your armor. Now, yes, we're wearing heirloom this episode, but really you're supposed to be wearing garbage. Anyways, he says that you look like a mess and that he could make you something new. But in order to do that, he needs 4 scavenger paws and 4 duskbat wings from the creatures in the surrounding area to the north and west. So you head out and you kill the duskbats and scavengers for their wings and paws. Then you head back to Arin. He says that this should help you out and he rewards you with an old leather belt. After that, Arin mentions a big struggle that they're dealing with at the moment. They're having a hard time obtaining the natural resources in order to survive. And one of those resources is gold. He mentions that gold was very scarce in Lordaeron, even at the height of the Alliance's power so many years ago. But he mentions that there's a gold mine out in the west. The problem is, it's infested with spiders. I mean, a lot of spiders. They need that gold, but they can't do much until the spiders are cleared out. He wants you to head out to the mine and kill 8 nightweb spiders and 8 young nightweb spiders. So you head out to the mine, you kill a lot of spiders, then you head back to Arin to report. He says that it's a start, but it's gonna take a few weeks to clear out the entire infestation. And once that's done, they're gonna send someone out to burn down the webs with torches. He then rewards you with a pair of zombie leg skins for a job well done. Now before we go on any further, if this is the kind of content that you like watching, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Also make sure to hit that like button so we can spark that YouTube algorithm. Really appreciate it. Now let's get back to the story. While you were in the mine, Darnell came by and delivered some news to Arin. He said that since the Valkyr arrived, many that were raised from the dead have chosen not to follow Sylvanas. Those who didn't are now rallying up together in a small camp east of here, and they plan to attack Deathnell. Arin wants you to report to Darnell down the road and see what can be done. Once you arrive at Darnell's location, you get to choose a reward from a variety of weapons. Darnell says that they formed an attack group and they're heading out to the tents just beyond your current location, and that the battle has probably already started. Darnell says that when you were working with Executor Arin, he was on an assignment from Shadow Priest Sarvis. Darnell was instructed to investigate a place called Rotbrain Camp, which is where the battle is going on right now. He found out that the undead living there are rallying under their leader, Marshal Redpath. Yes, this is the same Marshal Redpath who told you that he was going to start up his own Forsaken with elbows. Well, the time has come to help Darnell by killing 8 Rotbrain undead, as well as their leader, Marshal Redpath. After you kill the 8 Rotbrains, as well as Marshal, you head back to Shadow Priest Sarvis. He tells you, regarding the Rotbrains, that being risen from the dead is a strenuous process. Many don't survive the shock and turn into zombies and ghouls, and that others retain just enough humanity to seem normal on the outside, but they're flat out sick on the inside. He says that they should have killed off the Rotbrains the day they were raised. But as for you, you've done well, and you'll be heading out of Death Knell very, very soon. Sarvis reaches into his robe and pulls out a piece of paper. He says that this needs to be taken to his field agent, Deathguard Simmer. It contains information about the locations of the last few hideouts of the Scarlet Crusade. Sarvis has a feeling that you'll be a big help in destroying the Crusaders once and for all. From here, you take the road north out of Death Knell and meet up with Deathguard Simmer at the Colston Estate in Tirisfal Glades, in hopes to finishing off the remaining members of the Scarlet Crusade. And that's just the beginning for the Undead, but there's a lot more to learn. And as you can see, the Undead are not bad guys. They're actually really good people. They just look scary, that's all. And honestly, I had no idea that Lillian Voss was introduced this early into the story. Can't wait to see what happens next. Big shout out to our Patreon members. I'm glad I was able to collaborate with them and find out which area to do next. If you'd like to support this channel, then click on the Patreon link down below. Every donation helps and I really do appreciate it. And with that, we'll see you next time when we find out what happens next in the Tales of Azeroth.